bust my face, scatter my rights all over the place, and take the bread from off my plate. But you can't break me, lock me out, chain the gates, put black shirts in with dogs and mace. I'll hold the line, won't step away, 'cause you can't break me. I belong, you belong, we belong to the Union. Don't count me out when I'm on the floor. We'll win again, we've won before. The streets will ring with a mighty roar, 'cause you can't break me. Stocks rise up on workers' backs, profits soar while you hand out the sack. Boardroom bullies bloated and fat, but you can't break me. Australia's sold to mates offshore, backroom deals and shonky law. This day has come, we say no more. You can't break me. I belong, you belong, we belong to the Union. I belong, you belong, we belong to the Union. We won't turn away if you dare us to fight. I swear I'll never lay down and die. I'm in the Union, mate, got a right to belong. We'll be back, millions strong, women and men united as one, 'cause you can't break me. There's a warning here to the men in grey. The piper's come, it's time to pay. We're taking back what you stole away, 'cause you can't break me. I belong, you belong, we belong to the Union. I belong, you belong, we belong to the Union.
desolation, dirty wasteland from the grass. Thou shalt go no further, it was said they shall not pass. The spirit of resistance and the madness of the war. So go ahead, face it and join the dead. Though you die for your life, never asking why.
In this video, which has been sponsored by the Great Courses Plus, but more of that later, I'm going to be talking about the effectiveness, or perhaps the ineffectiveness, of bombardment upon the enemy with bombs and artillery and all that sort of stuff in modern warfare. Now, there was the infamous Day of the Typhoon. Yes, the Day of the Typhoon. Doesn't that sound good? On this day, the British were advancing against the Germans, but the Germans were trying to counterattack and they were sending tanks to the front. The British were going forwards from the Normandy area and they ruled the skies. Yes, the British had achieved almost total air superiority, and there were hundreds of sorties were flown with the Typhoon ground attack planes, and these had cannons and machine guns and so forth, but they also had rockets. 8 rockets, 4 on each wing. Now, these are 8-inch rockets. So that's 8 times 8-inch. A cruiser at the time typically had about 8 8-inch guns. So one of these Typhoons coming at you and shooting all its rockets at you was equivalent to being on the receiving end of a broadside from a cruiser. So pretty terrifying, I think you'd agree. And the Day of the Typhoon went down in history as the time when 89 kills were racked up to the RAF, or at least 89 kills were claimed by the RAF. But then later, when inspectors on the ground went forward over the area that had been fought over and looked for these 89 wrecks that had been blasted to smithereens by rockets, that's not actually what they found. They found 10 that they were pretty confident had been knocked out by rockets. There were marks of rocket hits on them, nothing else that would explain that the vehicle had been knocked out. So yes, okay, so 10 that could be confidently clocked up to rocket hits. Perhaps others had been hit by rockets but not knocked out or had been towed away, so those didn't get recorded. But 10 definite kills, and another 10 which it seemed had been abandoned whilst being rocketed. So there were rocket hits all around. The vehicle didn't seem to be really knocked out exactly, but clearly it was abandoned. The crew had scarpered. So that leaves an awful lot of gap to bring it up to 89. But it seems that a very large number of Germans had just decided to be somewhere else in their tanks. You can imagine, can't you? You're in a German tank, you've got the radio on in your headphones, and you hear, oh, one of my colleagues has just been knocked out. Oh, and another. And here come Typhoons. And ooh, they fly over the top. And what do? You can just hope that they miss you, and then you've lost contact with another load of your guys, and you just think, I don't want to be here. Pretty quickly the Germans twigged that it was the tanks that the RAF were targeting. So if you were in a tank and